Welcome everybody. Really excited to see you all. Even though we are virtual for this workshop, it is one of my favorite parts of this conference. I remember years ago, I think I attended the very first one of these, and we are now on our 8th annual Qualitative Research Methods Workshop here. And you have some new people at the helm. You will notice Nancy and Whitney are no longer the women in power here, but Joelle and I have taken over this workshop, and so we're really excited to share with you all in some breakout rooms, and then we have a really great, engaging, interactive keynote presentation coming up later on that I'll give you a sneak peek to before we all break off into our separate atmospheres. So before we begin, we did want to thank our sponsors, Virginia Tech University, and specifically Dr. Nancy McGee, who has supported this workshop and qualitative research in our field for a very long time, and she's empowered many of us who are in this room virtually and in person if you're there in Victoria as well. So thank you to our sponsors. We couldn't be doing this work without you or having this workshop. So just a little bit about our agenda today. We are together until 11:30 a.m. Pacific time. We are going to break off in just a couple of minutes into our 3 sessions, and we'll post in the chat. Joelle will post in the chat the different papers that will be in different rooms. There have been a couple of changes last minute. One of our dear colleagues, Whitney Knollenberg, they're kind of like one and the same, I guess. Not really. Whitney, she not missed her flight. They canceled her flight, and she's currently on the plane en route to Victoria. So we had to move some papers around, and Nancy is taking her place moderating one of the sessions. So do pay attention to where your paper ended up. I know there were definitely 2 changes. So we want to make sure you're in the same room. And if you're joining us not as a presenter and you're here to see specific papers, make sure that you pay attention to that as well. You should be able to move between rooms. So if you want to see a paper in breakout room 1, that's first, and then another one later on that's in breakout room 3, you can move yourself around. That should be pretty straightforward. Fingers crossed, no tech issues there. Afterwards, we'll all come back into the main breakout room where we'll have a quick debrief from our presentation. So take notes, think of ahas, things like that. And then we will jump into our keynote presentation, after which we will be announcing our Qualitative Workshop Best Paper Award winner for the year. Just a little sneak peek for you all to get excited about, and also text all your TTRA friends who may not be here yet to join us by 10 a.m. this morning. We have Dr. Tiana Resick, who is going to be talking to us about all of the really amazing work she's been doing with visual methodologies in tourism. She has edited a book, An Introduction to Visual Research Methods in Tourism, and she's prepared what I know will be a super engaging, interactive, and just fun presentation where we're all going to be able to get our hands dirty, if you will, where we'll be thinking about ways that we can be more creative and visual in our own.
You're saying the qualitative breakout rooms won't be recorded.
In our own research. Make sure you are muted. I don't know if I have access to mute everybody, but if you're not on mute. But tell all your TTR friends to join us at 10:15 for our keynote
shall I remind the moderators that they need to record the breakout rooms if they want them recorded?
Kathy, you're not on mute, honey. Kathy Palmer, you're not on mute.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Nancy.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry.
No worries, just doing that good work in the background. All right, a quick introduction to all of us. I actually didn't say who I was. I am Dr. Alana Dillette. I'm an associate professor now, newly minted associate, just got tenure about a month ago at San Diego State University in our hospitality and tourism program. And I am one of 2 leads on this Qualitative Research Methods workshop, and I'll pass it over to Joelle to quickly introduce herself.
That would work better.
Oops, gonna echo. Sorry. You try.
Hi. We're gonna try to resolve that.
let's try this.
Hello, everyone. I am
Perfect.
Dr. Joelle Soulard, and I am an assistant professor at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and one of the co-organizers with Alana.
Thank you, Joelle, and I'll pass it along to Nancy to introduce herself.
How smooth that transition. Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I was going to sit in on every second of this anyway, because there's always such great presentations. I'm Nancy McGee, faculty at Virginia Tech and co-editor of the Journal of Travel Research, and proud sponsor of this workshop. And huge kudos to Alana and Joelle and the what they've had to do to be nimble for the session. So great to be here.
Perfect. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you for stepping in at the last minute. All right, we are going to go ahead and have the breakout rooms been added to the chat. I think we might still have to do that, but I will pull up on the screen just in a moment.
Alana, I'm interrupting you again. So it
Go for
looks
it.
like they aren't planning on. Kathy just posted something in the chat that they, the breakout sessions, she was thinking we want them recorded, but it looks like.
I mean, I don't think they need to be recorded because the presentations are recorded. But
So maybe let Kathy know on that. But anyway, I'll
okay.
go from there.
All right, I am going to post in the chat, as well as I will post up on the screen in just a minute what's in each room. So there we have breakout room 1, which will be moderated by Nancy. Breakout room 2, which will be moderated by Joelle. And breakout room 3, which will be moderated by me. And I'll also post these up on the screen, and we'll give about 2 or 3 minutes before I leave. And will not be sharing my screen. You can join where your paper is or where you would like to see what's going on.
And Kathy just direct messaged me. They will not be recorded. They will not be recorded. So you can show the video. So yeah.
Thank you, Nancy. So we'll be out in our breakout rooms for approximately 1 hour and 20 minutes. We have 20 minutes per presentation, and your moderators will kind of keep tabs, and hopefully it'll all work out.
And does that 20 minutes include video and Q&A, everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, Nancy. We had a whole meeting with Whitney ahead of time, and I didn't think about that. Yes. So each presentation, they should be around 12 minutes. There's varying lengths, up to kind of 15 minutes. But we have 20 minutes total for the presentation plus the discussion.
Emily just asked how we join the breakout rooms.
So on the bottom of your screen, you should have something that says breakout rooms or join breakout rooms. Are people seeing that?
Yeah, you just have to click more. It's like 3 dots and it'll come up.
Okay. So if you don't see a little 4 squares that says breakout rooms, click somewhere on your screen that has 3 dots. And you should be able to join. And so the rooms 1, 2, and 3, there's people already in there kind of starting to trickle in. They correlate with what is in the chat. Thank you guys for helping me, those in the chat and Emily. All right, my encore person in here, are you staying in the main room while we sit in our breakout rooms?
Yep, I'll be here throughout the meeting. So if you need any help, just shoot me a message. And I can...
Okay. I mean, the biggest help we'll need is just if anybody comes in late to let them know, to join one of those breakout rooms.
Yep, sure.
And I think you can still see the chat. So maybe you can copy paste what was in each of them if they're not sure where they want to go, but that would be the most helpful. Thank you.
All right, can do that for sure.
I'm going to jump into room 1 now then, right? Correct?
Yes, go for it. Yeah. I'm going to wait another minute or so and then I'll go into my room.
Wish me well.
Joelle, Joelle's gone too. Okay, goodbye, Joelle. Is anybody still in the main room? Or is anybody having trouble? It says in progress. So it won't allow you to join. Juan, am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah.
Yuan. Okay. So what is it saying when you're trying to join?
It says breakout rooms in progress.
So you should be able to, on the bottom of your screen, are there like 3 dots or a little breakout room
Yeah, I see
icon?
that. Yeah, I see that. I click on it and now it says breakout rooms in progress.
And if you scroll down, do you see a button that says join on any of the rooms?
I saw that before and I clicked on it, and then now this is what I see. It says breakout rooms in progress.
Does the tech person have any assistance to give here?
I can move you into the room myself. So you're wanting to go into 3?
3, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody else who is still on here struggling to get into a room? Because I'm going to go into my room so I can moderate. All right, I'll take the silence as a no.
Talk to Joelle about before I jump in. So
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sounds good.
So you want to give a little overview?
Yeah, just give a little overview of kind of what happened in your room and what were some of the highlights.
Okay, yeah, quick one there. Well, I want to be cognizant of time, but I could go on and on about the 4 sessions that we had because they were really incredible. And beginning with the first session with Alyssa and Chloe on agritourism and DMO partnerships, which I'm super partial to. I didn't mention it in the session, but back in the, the late 20th century when rocks were soft, or maybe it was early 2000s, it's hard to remember, did a conceptual article that Bernard, bless his heart, let me submit because it was conceptual and it was talking about the relationship between agritourism and DMOs. And he said, well, why didn't you do the data? I said, because I can't get the funding for it. So it makes me very excited that there are resources out there and that people are recognizing this relationship. And so they did an amazing job that's both very applied and also very methodologically sound looking at those relationships. So that was amazing. The second one had to do also with agritourism and farmer to fork with Bruno and Duarte. And the work that they did was looking at these videos that were created between farmers and restaurants both before and after the pandemic and their relationship. And if Bruno, if you're on here, if you can post that YouTube link again, that would be great. Oh, there it is. Bruno already did it to everybody. Thank you. Because these were some very powerful and compelling videos about these relationships in North Carolina. And honestly, I was looking for a tissue for a couple of them. So great, compelling, and also an example of scholar activism. Third one, Sharice Tucker and this chick McGee. I don't know what her deal is, but anyway, and it's all Sharice. It's not really. It's first author, second author, and her work looking at an analysis of major publications of Black publications through the last 100 years and how they've related and reflected this notion of the Black traveler as while things were going on in terms of legislation, laws changing through Jim Crow and civil rights and Black Lives Matter, and how those are reflected in the press. We got some great input there on some different methodological approaches and ways with that, but excellent presentation. And last but not least, Serena Volo and her colleague looked at winter tourism, specifically ski winter tourism, and did some really creative work with collage creation by young adults who are engaged in the ski industry, or who are interested in skiing, and what they think skiing is going to look like in the next few decades. And so a really cool approach to looking at how that works. And so that was another great example of using creativity, which is what this workshop's all about.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that amazing highlight. And I know from reading and watching some of the presentations ahead of time that they were all amazing. Joelle, did you want to give us a quick highlight from your room?
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Yeah. Oh, 1 second.
We can hear you from Nancy's screen.
All right, sorry, we were playing musical chair with the computer. So yes, we had a great set of presentation, and the main will say link between all of these presentation was the focus on having methodology that allow the researcher to be immersed in the community, and then also to develop research in partnership with the community. So that was something that was done, and that was quite impressive. We have seen work done by Kelly and Qwynne, and they were 2 years on the project to develop the appreciative inquiry and to make sure that they were doing it right, each of the steps. So that was really impressive. We also had the work by Emily, and she looked at vacation rental, and she was also able to talk about some of the challenges that we might encounter when we are doing research. For example, Airbnb might be a little bit challenging with regard to who can contact their participant and who cannot. So Emily talked about that, and it was really nice to have also someone that talked candidly about the challenges that we face as tourism researcher. And then, of course, we had also Camilla. And Camilla, she's a master student, and she's already doing some amazing work. So we're sure she's going to go far. And she talked about social capital and ecotourism, and both of them are connected. And we could see that she was already having a lot of deep reflection with regard to how is qualitative research being implemented, what is the impact on the community, and what is the role with the community. And then finally, we also had the work by Jeongeun, Suiwen Zou, and Kathleen Brooks. And they look at pride in community. So this notion of what are some of the emotions that are needed to connect community members together. So that was some of the main highlights.
Thank you so much, Joelle. And from my room, we had some amazing presentations and discussions, starting with a presentation that I did with my co-author and colleague, Stephanie Benjamin. We had some rich discussion about the importance of bridging the gap between industry and academia, specifically with our work in the Black travel movement. We had an industry professional in there from Visit Fort Worth who sort of added her insight to the importance of that and finding authenticity in specific cities and using our expertise as researchers in that space. So figuring out how we can do our academic research, but also double up and connect with industry as well. Because if we're not really connecting to communities, as seems to be a theme in some of our other breakout rooms, where is our research really going? Our second presentation used the photo-elicitation approach. So from the creative methodology standpoint, it was really interesting by Connor Clark and Dr. Gyan Nyaupane. It was very, very insightful about cross-border tourism at the U.S. Mexico border in Arizona. They shared some of the nuances between how residences and other stakeholders in tourism view the border as far as their shared heritage, and as we see more and more politics sort of getting involved in our borders and how they're managed. And so they went into that and shared with us some of their research that was funded by the National Park Service. They hope to continue. Our third presentation was talking about something that I thought was sort of diametrically opposed, this idea of newly constructed ancient towns in China, where towns are.
So how about our
we need somebody to mute.
Plan? Are you hungry today?
I'm not hungry right now. Who is that? All right, I think we got that person to mute. Thank you. This presentation was by Shujun Wang, and she talked about, she used critical discourse analysis to discuss, this idea of creating real fake towns and, how that's perceived by tourists who are visiting these places. And especially as we went from, no COVID to COVID, and now we're getting in sort of a post-COVID world, and the importance of authenticity in tourism and how we can continue that with this idea of constructing ancient towns. And finally, we had Li-Sin Chen, who shared some of her personal passions about going to festivals, and she talked about the experience. She used collective memory to consider the experience of interpreting our festival going experience and how we can reflect as consumers to inform tourism research. So thank you to all the presenters from Breakout Room 3. I am going to go ahead now and pass it along to Joelle, who is going to share an introduction to our guest speaker here we have today. We've been talking about this since the beginning of our session. We're very, very excited to have her. Get your notebooks out, or if you're a person who takes notes on computers, this is going to be a workshop where you want to take down some of the ideas that are shared. So without further ado, I'll pass it to Joelle to introduce our keynote speaker for today.
All right, so this is my pleasure to introduce Tiana. And when we first started developing the workshop, we were looking at someone that could talk about innovative methodology, someone that is creative, and someone that is leading the way with regard to the type of methodology that we could use in the future that are based on visual. So this is how we met with Tiana, and we invited her to be part of the workshop. So I'm going to share a little bit about Tiana. So Tiana is an internationally established interdisciplinary scholar whose research projects, publication, and interests predominantly lie within the theme of visual research methods, world heritage, tourism and identity, tourism, leisure, and art, narratives of travel and tourism, and representations of places, culture, and identity in promotional material and popular media. In addition to a range of publications, a number of which stem from her PhD, Tiana has also co-edited several book-length publications, including An Introduction to Visual Research Methods in Tourism, Narratives of Travel in Tourism, Travel, Tourism and Art, Tourism Research Frontiers, and 2 journal special issues, Gender and Tourism, and Visual Methods in Event Study. Inspired by the power of visual and creative research outputs in reaching audiences beyond the academics, Tiana has also produced 2 academic documentaries, Visiting the Athenian Acropolis and Of Holidays and Olives, which both have been shown at film festival, public screening, and used for teaching in a number of countries. Tiana is currently the chair of the Geographies of Tourism and Leisure Research Group of the Royal Geographical Society with the Institute of British Researchers, as well as a co-editor of the Routledge book series titled Current Developments in the Geographies of Leisure and Tourism. She also leads the Tourism, Hospitality and Events Research and Enterprise Group and the Master Programs in Tourism and Events at the University of Brighton. So as you can see, Tiana is someone that is very busy, and she's going to talk to us today about creativity, visuality in tourism study, or reflective account.
Thank you, Joelle.